We can all stand
I
and say
forgot
the
it was
pledge.
supposed to snow.
Yeah, I did too.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, welcome everyone. We're going to start off by giving some award presentations. Greta, you want me to give that to you?
Yeah,
Who's
yeah,
gonna-
sure. And I think the way that we'll do this is a new format. We usually announce these awards at the deliberative session, and by the turnout, it looks like we ought to really be happy about doing it here.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate all the people attending. So before we get into the awards, I just want to mention that we had so many nominations this year, which was phenomenal. And I really appreciate all the people that were nominated and all the nominators. So it was really great. It was really hard to choose our winners. Honestly, we were at a point, it's like, okay, each and every one of these people deserve it. But we did make some selections, and that's what we're here for this evening. So we do have two awards that we will be presenting this evening. One is the Dream Keeper, and the other one is the Cornerstone Award. We're going to start with the Dream Keeper, and rather than me being up here blabbing, we've got a great video that will give you a much better idea. So I think we'll start there with the video, and then we have a plaque for the nominee. So this is on Katie Lingley.
Each year, the Goffstown School Board presents two awards to people who have gone the extra mile to make our schools better. The Dreamkeeper Award recognizes people or organizations in the community that have demonstrated exceptional service to our school district in a variety of ways, including but not limited to a major investment in capital or time, a significant contribution in service or creativity, and an outstanding academic, athletic, and/or community service achievement.
Every year, I have the incredible honor of announcing the award winners for Dreamkeeper and Cornerstone on behalf of the school district. And this year, I am so incredibly pleased to announce the Dreamkeeper Award winner as Katie Lingley, Goffstown High School special education teacher. Katie is an incredibly dedicated special educator, and we're so very grateful to have her in the Goffstown School District. Congratulations, Katie. Well deserved.
Katie Langley is one of the nicest human beings I've ever met. We both might have come through here in 1986. When I think of Katie, I think of her tie-dye projects. I think taking kids swimming. I think of all the food and the celebrations, the trips to the mall, always enriching and making a difference in her students' lives, goes above and beyond, could not be more deserving of receiving this award. At the top of our mission statement, we talked about caring community. No one creates a more caring community in her classroom and all that, and outside her classroom than Katie with her students. She makes it an incredible, special place for some of her students who could be there 7, 8 years. Congratulations, Katie. You are so deserving of this special award.
I cannot imagine a person more worthy of the Dreamkeeper Award than Katie Lingley. I had the pleasure of first meeting Katie 7 years ago at Goffstown High School. What struck me immediately, and still does today, is her genuine love and commitment to her students. She shows up every day excited to teach. She is creative, innovative, and the living embodiment of the Energizer Bunny. When you walk into her classroom, her students are engaged and smiling. She ensures that her students experience a variety of learning environments, be it in the school setting or out in the community. She ensures that they have the best high school experience and fosters a love of learning that is evident when you engage with the kids in her class. I can quite confidently say that she is one of the best special educators that I have encountered in my 40-year career. Congratulations, Katie.
Within the walls of Goffstown High School, we celebrate the achievements of our best and brightest. Our National Merit Scholarships, our elite college acceptance, our AP students, we cheer for the triumphs of our athletes, our great artists, our musicians, our performers. We applaud the military service members and our MST graduates. But where Goffstown truly shines is how we recognize and support all students who spend time within the walls of GHS. The Life Skills program is a thing of beauty, owing its brilliance to the caring, hardworking individual who has nurtured this program, Katie Lingley. It's grown out of her love and caring for those around her. She pours the best of what it means to be a caring community into her classes. She has infused this program with pride in the small achievements of her students and the intellectual curiosity, whether it's looking at the cells through a digital microscope, working in the garden, or going on a field trip, or simply how the copier works. Her passion and sense of joy in life's little things will enable this program to teach the skills her students need for life. From a nonverbal student sharing a huge smile to another scoring their first basket in an integrated basketball program, Katie makes these moments possible. She has taught us to line the hallways to celebrate students on their 22nd birthday, and all the life lessons this program has given to them. Today I ask you to applaud our own Katie Lingley, Goffstown's Dreamkeeper. I hope Katie never leaves us because her shoes would be impossible to fill. Thank you for all you do, Katie.
Katie has a truly special gift for connecting with her students and helping them thrive. Within her classroom, Katie fosters a deep sense of community where every student feels supported, valued, and empowered. Alongside our incredible team of paraprofessionals and service providers, she makes magic happen every day, creating an environment built on collaboration, care, and belonging. Through individualized plans for academics, life skills, and vocational training, Katie ensures each student has the tools they need to succeed, both in school and beyond. Her well-organized, community-based outings and celebrations provide meaningful experiences that enrich learning, strengthen relationships, and foster independence. Katie is always willing to step up and do whatever is in the best interest of her team and her students. Her dedication, creativity, and commitment to building a strong, inclusive community inspires us all. Congratulations, Katie, on receiving this well-deserved Dreamkeeper Award.
Katie, if you want to come on up. And just so you know, the video will be posted online, so you'll be able to share it. If you want to come over this way.
I want my mom.
Thank you so much.
It is an honor to teach here in this community.
Well done.
Thank
Let's take
you.
a picture of the two of you.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. And number 2, Mr. Gross.
So our next award is the Cornerstone Award, and we're pleased to be able to award this to 2 individuals. The first one is Erin McKinnon.
Each year, the Goffstown School Board presents 2 awards to people who have gone the extra mile to make our schools better. The Cornerstone Award recognizes staff, community members, and volunteers working with our schools whose service has been truly outstanding to the overall educational climate of the school district. These individuals exhibit commitment, good human relation skills, loyalty, dedication, and good organizational and work habits.
Every year I have the incredible honor of announcing the Cornerstone Award winners on behalf of the Goffstown School Board. And this year we're so lucky and fortunate to have 2 great award winners. This year's first award winner for the Cornerstone Award is Erin McKinnon, foreign language teacher, Goffstown High School. Congratulations, Erin. You're a wonderful teacher. We're so very grateful to have you, and this is well-deserved.
Erin is incredibly humble, probably so humble that she's making a face right now as we're all singing her praises. But attend any one of the many community events she organizes, and you won't see Erin center stage. No, she's the consummate guide on the side, clipboard in hand, making sure everything runs smoothly. She does this all with the patience of a saint, When it might be easier to take over, Erin holds space to elevate her students' ideas and build their leadership skills. Erin models the generosity, humility, and patience we all strive for. Congratulations, Erin. You are so deserving of this recognition for your service to our community.
Erin knows that studying another language is more than just words and uses the language to foster discussions of civic engagement, service to others, and good global citizenship. She has worked with colleagues to provide opportunities for students to experience the target cultures by traveling abroad and completing service work while living the language. Over the years, she has brought students to Nicaragua, Spain, Mexico, and Costa Rica. Her above and beyond efforts have provided a once-in-a-lifetime experience for so many students in the district over her tenure here. Congratulations, Erin. I'm so happy to have worked with you all these years.
Erin is amazing. She has served as the Student Council Advisor for 15 years and a class advisor a number of years prior to that. There are so many student-run activities here at GHS that she helps with. As the Student Council Advisor, she attends many local and regional meetings outside of the school with students. She also hosts the Student Council District meeting here at GHS, proving that she is not only a leader here in Goffstown, but also across the state. Erin's dedication to this school and her students is crucial to establishing our strong school culture and community. Congratulations, Erin.
It's an honor to celebrate someone who has shaped not only my own path, but the path of countless educators, my mentor and colleague, Erin McKinnon. As a world language teacher, we know that our work is much more about teaching vocabulary or grammar. It's about opening doors, building confidence, and helping students see the world with wider eyes. And no one embodies that mission more fully than she does. As a new teacher to the district, her guidance has been a cornerstone in itself. Steady, generous, and transformative. Whether she's supporting new teachers, offering thoughtful advice, or modeling what it means to lead with empathy, she lifts others up simply by being who she is. Her mentorship has created a ripple effect throughout our school, strengthening our world language department and inspiring every student who walks into her classroom. This Cornerstone Award is a perfect reflection of her impact. Thank you, Erin, for your wisdom, your warmth, and your unwavering dedication. We are all better educators because of you. Congratulations. You truly deserve this honor.
As lead teacher of the World Language Department at GHS, Erin facilitates productive, planned meetings, where there is always a lively exchange of ideas and everyone's voices are heard. Her leadership creates an atmosphere of trust and enthusiasm, inspiring us to bring our best work forward. And in doing so, we grow as professionals, and our students benefit from our shared collaboration. Congratulations, Erin. You so deserve this.
Senora is a fantastic student council advisor and Spanish teacher.
She dedicates so much of her time to her students and colleagues.
Congratulations, you deserve it.
Senora McKinnon commits hours of her time to student council each week, early mornings and late nights. She works hard to involve the community through events such as Veterans Day breakfast, bringing joy to everyone around her. We appreciate you, Senora. You deserve it.
Congratulations.
Oh, gracias.
All right. Let's do one more. Say, I'm so proud of my wonderful daughter.
I'm so proud of my wonderful daughter.
So this is remarkable. I am so incredibly grateful and appreciative that you all came this evening to be with us and to recognize these two incredible teachers. This has clearly shown me that this is the way to do this. This is way better than deliberative session, so this is absolutely how we should do this moving forward. So thank you all for being here, particularly on such a horrible evening. The weather is lousy, so please feel free to leave and drive safely, but we're just so grateful that all of you could be here tonight.
And I do want to mention that the second recipient is Cheryl Nault. And this, unfortunately, she couldn't be here this evening due to an illness. So we will be presenting this at our next board meeting, and we'll share the video as well at that time.
Serving coffee and cake or something.
Chocolate.
Yeah, refreshments? Yeah.
That's your daughter, huh?
Yeah.
Congrats to your daughter. I didn't know you guys were connected.
I know. All the meetings we've been doing.
Yeah. Nice to see you. I'm going to go wish her congratulations. And
Good to see you though, in a different place.
All right, everybody, we're going to keep going with the meeting. So,
What a couple weeks, huh?
Whatever, it's fine. Yeah, go ahead. It's fine.
All right. Correspondence.
we have no correspondence this evening.
Okay. Good news, commendations. I told the teachers and the students to stay home tonight due to the bad weather, but does anyone else have any commendations, good news they want to share with us tonight? Go ahead, Scott.
I wanted to thank Emily Van Sickle at GTV for producing the 3 videos. We are so lucky to have someone like Emily who's skilled. We had a very expedited turnaround, so all of the staff members got into the studio, and within, about a week and a half, she was able to produce those 3 phenomenal videos. So I want to thank Emily and GTV for all their hard work.
Yeah, good. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, they did a great job. Go ahead, Red.
And just to add on to that, I mean, she is so professional. When you come in, I mean, being on camera isn't natural for everybody, and they do a really good job of coaching you through it. So I encourage you all, if you have the opportunity, go be on camera.
Anyone else with good news, accommodations? All right, so we're moving on to public comment. Is there any public comment? I don't see any. So we'll move on to the approval of the December 15th board meeting minutes. Did everybody have a chance to read them? Anybody see anything? If not, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 15th.
Thank you, Retta. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
By Vanessa. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining?
Abstain.
1 abstention. Ginny, you said you abstained?
Yep.
So we have 2 abstentions. All right, so achievement presentation.
So if I can just give a little intro, Mrs. Kohler is not here this evening. She was really under the weather and felt terribly about missing the meeting, but I told her she was forbidden from coming, that none of us wanted her terrible germs. So the administrators are here. They're going to present. I do just want to share with the board, and Ginny could confirm this, this was a better part of a 90-minute to 2-hour discussion at CNE. So we have asked the administrators to shrink this down to about 5 minutes per level. So this is a considerably reduced presentation, and particularly given the kind of the weather this evening, after they're done, I'd like them to head out and go home. So I think we're going to start, was she starting with elementary? Okay, so Mr. Demers and Mrs. Pishka are going to come up and present, and Josh, oh, Josh already has it connected, perfect.
This is the speed-up version of our lengthy conversation with CNE, and I know a number of them are in the room, so
Thank you for listening to us again. One thing we did was combine. You saw Bartlett as separate and Maple as separate, but this presentation is a combination of Maple and Bartlett on our state assessments, which we take in the springtime. So the results of last spring is the first slide for math, and then following that will be ELA, and then we'll talk a little bit about the historical data. So what you're looking at, if you have it in front of you or if you can see on the screen, for math, state testing for grades 3 and 4, they're the 2 grades we assess. We looked at proficient students only, is what we reported out here. The green is the state, and the blue is Goffstown Elementary Schools. So the 2 schools combined average for math. Grade 3, we were just above the state. Grade 4, unfortunately, we were below the state as an average between the 2 elementary schools.
Excuse me, ELA testing for grades 3 and 4, the color coding is the same, so the green is the state average, and in grade 3 we were above the state average combined between the 2 schools, and then in grade 4 we are right in par with the state average for ELA as well.
So this is the historical data for Bartlett. All students proficient or above from the spring of 2022 to the spring of 2025. I would say that, I certainly wasn't there for a few of those years, but the most significant drop was the year 2023-24, where we were designated for improvement. My first year was that spring after, and I would say that being able to focus on teaching and learning and really making sure kids knew the mechanics of this assessment was what helped drive that number back up to what would I consider the state average. Our hopes this coming year is that we increase that, probably not as significant as 19%, but we will definitely continue to work toward improvement.
This next slide is the same type of historical data for SAS for Maple Ave, again from 2022 to the spring of 2025. And in the most recent year, you can see that in grade 3, we went above where we were the year before. However, in grade 4, we dropped down a bit. So we are focusing this year on, we've worked closely with Mrs. Pishka and the staff at Bartlett of kind of seeing what they did last year to help show that growth. And we're adopting a lot of the same procedures and practices that they're going to do, so we're continuing to work through that, and we're hoping to see a nice improvement this coming spring.
The next slide that you see is historical data for our local assessment, the NWEA. It's an assessment that we use 2 or 3 times a year, depending on the grade level. We use it as our dyslexia screener for our grades 1, 2, and 3. The assessment is in both reading and math, or ELA and math. We tried this year, where you won't see a score for grade 2 ELA. We're trying NWA's, what they call their MAP fluency, which has an oral reading component, so we don't have a percentage. That's not how we score that, but we are learning a little bit more about it. We're trying again this winter to see how students improve, and we'll be able to report that growth once we have 2 data points per student. I would say also we use NWA. Its results are immediate for teachers, so they can use it for decision making on their instruction and decision making on whether or not a student needs additional support.
And this slide mirrors Bartlett's. This is what we have at Maple Ave for this year. Same sort of story in second grade with that MAP fluency test. It's my understanding it's also not nationally normed yet, so that data is not super relevant yet, but like Mrs. Pishka just said, as we continue to take it, we'll be able to kind of track that data from year to year and season to season, that we'll be able to share that information with all of you. So what are we doing? So we're attempting to meet the needs of all our learners, right, at all times. And so really focusing on protecting that core content time for English language arts and mathematics, doing our best to limit kids who need additional services from missing that whole group instruction and making sure they're staying in, of having interventionists and special educators push into the classrooms and deliver that extra support in the classroom so the kids aren't missing a bunch of that important instruction that they need in the classroom setting. And we're also trying to increase the rigor for the kids and really have them, I think you've heard us say productive struggle a lot over the past year and a half, and we're continuing to do that, of helping kids kind of the staff having more of that hummingbird approach where they'll come in and leave, and having the kids collaborate more and work together to try to solve problems as opposed to just relying on us as adults to tell them whether they're right or wrong. And that can be certainly challenging for the students and challenging for the adults, but I think it's really important to help the kids grow.
In other ways, we're increasing opportunities, sustaining longer periods of time reading. That is something I would say is a challenge, maybe not new, but it definitely is obvious as students come in. They're not always ready to read for 20 minutes. We have to build up on that and then build from there. So sustaining longer periods of time reading is really important, as the assessment that they take is 90 minutes or more, depending on how fast they are for reading and responding. So we're trying to sustain longer periods and really track that and share that with them. I think for them to know that they are accomplishing something, even if it's paying attention for longer periods of time, it's something to celebrate. Building vocabulary and background knowledge, we know that is an area of weakness for students. If they're not reading things, historical fiction and other types of genre, then they're not necessarily experiencing some of the vocabulary that they'll need. We know vocabulary and understanding information before you start reading is critical for comprehension. So we're working on building those things, giving them more experiences with more difficult text. Committing more time to writing is something we're doing as well. And then improvement on our student goal setting. So instead of just the teachers knowing that we really want them to become proficient, we're talking to the students about, what's your goal? Last time you scored here, these were things you were weak in, these are things you're strong in, we've been working on those, so now what would you like to see for your next goal? So including them on setting the goals, and we've been doing that with our NWEA testing and kind of preparing them for that SAS testing, which we will then be able to have that conversation and they'll be familiar with that kind of talk with their teacher, and reaching for that when they start their assessment, and not just saying, oh, this is another test they're putting in front of me. So that was basically our speed up version of what we shared with C&E a couple months ago. Any questions for us?
I know you shared a lot about this at C&E, but just for the public and, again, a shortened version of, can you tell the public a little bit more about what's different between NEWA and SAS, and what are some of the unique challenges for students with each, and what barriers, and what are ways that I think the whole community can partner too, how can parents partner in supporting students for these tests as well?
Okay. So NWEA, the NEWA, they're both computerized assessments. NWA is national normed. It's, like I said, it's quick, where we can assess and then the teachers get the information and we'll actually be able to use that. The state testing, it's given to them in the spring. We get our results. We basically shared the public results in October, November. So it's a while before you actually hear how students really did. I would say that's more of a summative. It's just like, okay, this is how the school did as, as a third grade group or fourth grade group. The parents do get the individual results sent to them by the schools, but it's not really what we use for teaching. I would say the results that we share with parents that are from our NWA testing give them a better understanding of what they could do with homework that next week even. Here are some things they need to work on. I don't know if I hit everything that you asked.
I think the only other thing that Laura had said was tips for parents.
Yeah, just
So,
how can parents
just in general, the biggest thing is read to and read with your kids. That would be the first thing. Number 2, get them off screens. Get them off the devices. Go play outside. Go climb a tree. Go enjoy things other than electronics. But reading is the key. And boy, it's hard for parents to compete with the screens, but families that can establish good bedtime routines with their kids, reading to the kids when they're really little, very, very young, and keeping that going all the way through. That's it.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Nope, seeing none.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Demers. Thank you, Mrs. Pishka. And we'll have Mrs. Milligan come up and Mr. Lewis.
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us. We are excited to share our summative results for SAS and our NEWA testing that we did last year. At Mountain View, I should probably start by saying that unlike in our other counterpart buildings, we do test all of our students. So we have just over 900 students at Mountain View, and every one of them will be tested this year. For New Hampshire SAS assessment, we have for grades 5 and 8, they take 4 tests. And for grades 6 and 7, they take 3 tests. The reason for the difference is that 5th and 8th grade take science, whereas they do not take those in 6th and 7th grade. Part of that I also should mention is one of the things that we are looking at before we get into this info is details that we are trying to prepare for in this year's SAS assessment. The window has been shortened to a much significantly smaller window, and to test 900 students on 3 to 4 tests takes a little bit of creativity and also, of course, a significant impact on the school schedule. That being said, we also want to we're going to do things a little bit differently this year because we want to try to make sure that we provide students with time in between tests. In the past, it's typically been, if you're in 5th or 8th grade, you get 3 tests or 4 tests in a week, and that's that, right? And if you're in 6th and 7th grade, same thing. Whereas this year, we're going to be looking to kind of do what Suzanne did and separate things a little bit more, give kids some time in between tests to help kind of prevent that testing fatigue that we see with students getting, especially in middle school.
We also talked about doing the math test very last in their sequence of testing so that they can get as much math content in the school year before the test as possible.
In years past, we've typically tested in the month of April. Instead, we're going to be testing predominantly in the month of May this year. We typically have tried to avoid May because May is busy. And also, like I said, we're testing and it's an online test, and we need a lot of computers to be able to do that, and that's also one of the busiest times of the year for teachers to have students working on projects, essays, things of that nature that require them to be able to use a device. So I'm going to be interested to see, kind of foreshadowing, I guess, what next year's numbers are going to look like, to see what this new kind of change of a pace that we do with us over at Mountain View. Now, looking at what you have in front of you is proficiency, and proficiency is all students that score proficient or above in ELA, and this is also compared to other towns. On this same chart, you will see that there are the cost per pupil that are in each of the bar graphs. Starting from left to right, that goes with, for the purposes of this presentation, goes from the smallest cost per pupil to the highest. It's important to note that Milford is not the highest cost per pupil in the state, just for this presentation, but Mountain View is the lowest cost per pupil in the state. So when you look at grade 5, students proficient in LA, We have 55%, which is just below that yellow, which is the state average, and also above or par with several of our counterparts in surrounding towns. Grade 6, again, you're going to start all the way on the left with that 47%. State average is 53%. For 7th grade, you're looking at 64% compared to the state average at 55%. And in grade 8, 51% compared to the state average at 52%. In math, which is on this next slide, you will, again, starting on the left, you will see 34% proficient for grade 5 compared to 40% at the state level, 53% at Mountain View compared to 41% at the state level in grade 6. Grade 7, 53% compared to the state average at 51%, and in grade 8, 34% at Mountain View compared to 38% at the state level. For proficiency in science, this is looking at grades 5 and 8. On the left, 36% for grade 5, 38% for the state average, and then 33% for grade 8 and 37% for the state average. One thing I want to point out while we're on the slide for science is that we have been using a program for several years now that we are getting away from. There's not a whole lot of inquiry-based learning opportunities that take place in that particular curriculum, and we are looking at a different one at this point in time that does offer a lot more of those opportunities for students. That inquiry-based learning really does kind of change the role of the teacher to become more of a facilitator of learning as opposed to someone who kind of stands and preaches that information to students. That hands-on learning allows for them to have, and research has shown, that allows for them to retain that information and the skills at a much greater percentage.
And we do have lots of teachers who are adopting that model of teaching already, so even without the new program. For example, we have a 5th grade teacher. I went into her room this morning, and she had all the materials out on the desks for the kids to come in and start experimenting with before she even got into the experiment, so that they could play with the materials, get to know the materials, use some of those problem-solving skills ahead of time. So a lot are doing that well in advance of the new program.
Josh, what's the timeline on the new science program?
So we have one more year left with SAVIS, and then we're looking to roll out the new one the following year. Okay. We've already started doing some lessons this year from that new curriculum, and we'll be implementing those same ones again next year, plus a full unit. And that's going across the science department in all 4 grade levels. Next, we have our NEWA data. One thing I wanted to point out too was that if you look at the 2025 column, that is the new norms that we are following. The NEWA updates their norms about every 5 years or so. So this is the new norms that they follow, but nevertheless, you're going to see from 2022 through 2025. At Mountain View, we test all students in the fall, and then we test 6th grade in the winter. And specifically that is to try to help gauge their progress, but also provide some data points for our 6th grade teachers to help place students in math when they go into 7th grade. Because in 7th grade we do offer several different math options, which I'll show you in another slide coming up.
If I could just add one more thing.
Yeah, of course.
Mrs. Kohler is texting me, so she's clearly not home resting and getting better. But she wanted to make sure that we talked about the program that you're looking at is an open source.
Yes.
So Open SciAD is what we're supplementing with, we're
Correct.
using right now.
Yep,
so
that's
that's
correct.
an open source type
Yep,
curriculum.
Ed Reports
that-
gives it
yeah.
also.
So we'll be looking at a new science program for the FY28 year, right? That's the year that we're looking at. We're looking at one more year, and then after that.
27, 28.
27, 28.
Yeah.
28.
Yeah. Got it. When you look at this NEWA data for ELA and for math in all 4 grades, you'll see that generally speaking, the scores stay relatively consistent across the board. A little bit of improvement in some areas, sometimes there's a couple of steps back, but generally speaking, it's pretty consistent with high levels of proficiency in both ELA and math. We see this score separately a little bit differently on NEWA because NEWA also is adaptive to some extent, so it also helps to adjust the testing to the student's abilities. That's up 2 grades as well as down 2 grades. So that also influences that percentage as well. But here are our advanced math numbers that we have. So specifically, we offer in 7th grade, grade level math, accelerated math, and also algebra for some select groups of 7th graders. So here you can kind of see the breakdown of those numbers over the course of the last 4 or 5 years. In 8th grade, we also offer algebra for our 8th graders as well as geometry. So students who typically take accelerated math in 7th grade will end up taking algebra in 8th grade, or if they take algebra in 7th grade, they'll end up taking geometry in 8th grade.
And kids that take algebra in 7th grade and then geometry in 8th grade, they come into the high school and they start on algebra 2.
Correct.
And these kids end up doing calculus, they end up doing calculus
math.
BC, so there's a lot of, this creates a nice problem to have, which is now you have to have those upper end math courses available to challenge the kids that have already taken algebra and geometry at the middle school level, which never used to happen. So this, well, it's probably been 20 years now, but you know, prior to that, you never saw the advanced math the way that we have it now.
And we've advocated as well to keep our part-time accelerated math position for next year because it's nearly impossible to keep class sizes down and if we were to take that position away. So throwing that little plug in there.
Yes, we have continued to support the position. Well played, Mrs. Milligan. Well played.
Just some other things, the slide, we ended up having this slide in here twice, but some of the things that we focus on or have been focusing on to try to help support our students, aside from the usual things that we have, which offer homework day and extra help with teachers after school, we also are having after-school library for students that need to be able to access it. We also have been, as I mentioned earlier, looking at how we can kind of shake up how we do our testing to try to help alleviate some of those issues with testing fatigue, but also talking more to the students about what testing is like, specifically what the SAS testing is like, having them practice so that way they're able to be comfortable with the platform. Because the platform is a little bit different than what they would normally be assessed on. So giving them that experience and exposure can help alleviate some of those concerns and issues that they might have there as well. We look at vocabulary, we're looking at giving kids opportunities to see some of those thinking task type or inquiry-based learning type of opportunities that they would see on the assessment as well. While it's good for helping potentially our test scores, it's also quite honestly good skill sets for them to be able to learn how to do regardless.
And as you can imagine, middle school is that sticky spot in the middle between elementary and high school where everything matters to them except for testing. So we've looked at what kind of assessments, what kind of incentives we can put in place for students, how we can really encourage them to do their best. Because I think, again, all grade levels test several times a year. So I think by the time they get to the NAEP testing, which is also coming up in 8th grade, they're not looking forward
Randomly
to
selected yet again.
Yes.
Every 2 years. It's weird how that happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think one of the things I was pretty proud of after we met with the C&E committee is hearing the high school scores, because that is a reflection of what Suzanne and Bill and what happens at the middle school as well. The high school scores tell a better picture because I think that does matter to kids. You know, college matters, trades matter, where the kids are headed after this matters to them. I think in middle school, they get through it, but we're really trying to encourage that go to bed early, take your time, do your best.
Eat a good breakfast.
Yeah, all those
that.
good things.
Show up.
So that's what parents can do for us.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
And lastly, Mr. Garzone. How are we doing at Goffstown High School?
Everything is going swimmingly, thank you. First day back after break, right back at it, hit the ground running this morning.
Yep.
First off, thank you for having me here tonight. I did want to reiterate what Mrs. Milligan already mentioned, but with the very impressive statistics and data that I'll share with you guys in a moment, and that I shared with CNE a couple months ago, it is more a reflection of the work that goes on in this district, K-12. While we're very proud of it here at the high school, it is a reflection of the work that goes on in all of our buildings, so a cumulative data point. So, first off, again, while student summative assessment results are certainly an important component of academics and education. It's important to note that this is only a part of what we do here at Goffstown High School. Within our mission statement, developing critical thinkers, building community, as we saw earlier with our award winners, developing informed citizens, as well as building connections within our community, remain our priority, along with all of the incredible academic work that goes on here. So our first slide here is the U.S. News and World Report rankings, which each year they rank all the schools within each state, and they use the 6 criterion to the right there as an all-encompassing measurement of overall school success. So college readiness, state assessment proficiency, state assessment performance, college curriculum breadth, underserved student performance, and graduation rates. Goffstown High School ranked 14th out of 98 high schools in the state of New Hampshire, and that is up from 19th in the year prior. While it is always nice to note when you do better than you did the year before, obviously that's impossible to sustain forever, but it is always nice to identify when we continue to improve. So the percentages of how those 6 criterion contribute to the overall ranking is pretty all over the map. So the College Readiness Index, which is the proportions of 12th graders who took and passed at least one AP or IB exam, is about 30% of that overall ranking, and that's the most significant component. Since we are doing the Reader's Digest version, I'm not going to delve into each one of the criterion, but again, very proud of our ranking here at Goffstown. Those data points do encompass more than the singular assessment points that we'll go over as we move forward in the presentation. So next slide, please, sir. 2025 was a very impressive year at Goffstown High School when it comes to our AP exams. So as you'll note here, we had an all-time high in participants, with 212 individual students taking tests. 398 tests taken by those 212 students. Obviously, many students take more than one AP exam. And we had an all-time high pass rate percentage. So a passing score is a 3 out of 5 on the AP exam. And that can, depending on the institution of higher education, that can earn you college credit after Goffstown High School. So 86.79% of the students who took our AP exams, which again, reiterating, was an all-time high number of participants. Quite impressive data points here for the students on our higher end, our higher achieving students, and we have more higher achieving students than we've had. Moving on to the next slide, similar to the middle school, we did do a cost per pupil comparative, and what you will note here, like Mr. Lewis pointed out at the Mountain View Middle School, Goffstown High School, at $16,816.21 is one of the lowest high schools cost per pupils in the state. It is not the lowest. There are some very, very small schools in the state of New Hampshire where the cost per pupil is a little bit lower, but we are certainly the lowest of our size. And the schools that we chose to compare with, we looked at the size of the school, the demographics using free and reduced lunch percentages, as well as geographic locations. So the schools here on our list are Concord, John Stark, Londonderry, the New Hampshire state average in the middle, and then we chose schools on both sides of that average, including Merrimack, Milford, and Souhegan. So as you can note there, Souhegan of our schools is the highest cost per pupil, coming in at just under $25,000 per pupil. And the state average, just draw your eyes to the middle of the page there, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth column over, the state average is $21,222.33. So it's an average cost per pupil. And if you flip to the next slide, in that same order, those schools are listed here by SAT score. So out of those schools, including the New Hampshire average, which is smack dab in the middle there, Goffstown High School outperformed all of those schools while still remaining the lowest cost per pupil. So this is our SAT scores, the current seniors, so this is the 2025 SATs. Our SATs are administered to our juniors in the spring of their junior year, so that's 10 3/4 of the way through their schooling. We take the measurement there, as do all schools in New Hampshire. That's the state assessment for math and English language arts, or evidence-based reading and writing. So our average was just over 1,000 at 1044. The state average is just under 1,000 at 997. And as you can see, some other schools, again, comparative schools based on demographic, size, and geographic location, all coming in behind Goffstown on the SATs. We could flip to the, next slide. While the C&E presentation did include, in addition to the AP exams and our SAT scores, I also did include the science SAS scores. I did not include that in tonight's presentation, but I will note that the science SAS scores, we again performed above the state average and within the proficient range for the New Hampshire science exam. That science exam is changing next year, both in format, content, and the grade level in which it will be administered. So it's currently, our juniors get hit with a lot of things. They get hit with the APs, they get hit with SATs, and then historically they've gotten hit with a science test too, all occurring in the spring of that junior year. So next year, next year, not this year, next year it'll move to the sophomore group. So we'll test juniors again this spring. And so our current sophomores will be that one group that misses out. I have two young ladies at home that will be very upset about that. I'll share with them the bad news, that they'll miss out on the New Hampshire Science SAS assessment. So that will take place in the sophomore year moving forward, and the Earth, Space, and Science curriculum will be pulled out of the test. So with that being said, I did not choose to delve into all of that data for the science, and moving forward, I did want to include some post-graduation statistics for everyone here. As we talked about before, this is a body of work, K-12. Last year, we had the class of 2025, 61% of our students attending a four-year school, 13% going on to two-year institution, and we had 6 individuals entering the military service. So the four-year, the students pursuing a four-year degree, that was a 4-year high dating back to 2022 when we had 63% of our graduates pursuing a four-year degree. So very proud of these statistics. At the same time, as we know, pursuing higher education is not the only avenue that we provide for students here. We offer MST for students who are looking to enter the workforce in the trades. And we also have, obviously, our tech program here, which gives students a leg up on other students pursuing similar types of pathways. So very proud of all the work here. Obviously, our assessment data is quite impressive, but at the same time, we do educate children much beyond just the classroom here at Goffstown. So, and I'm open, of course, to any questions or comments.
Any really hard, complicated questions for Mr. Guzan?
I've got, it's probably a layup.
Okay, I can try.
This is, and you've been in this higher education for a while. 6 kids only going into the military seems low to me. Do you know, like, what's driving that, or what the thoughts are, if there's something that's changed?
I can't say that that's necessarily all that low in my experience.
Okay.
I would say it's typically single digits. I would say around 6, and in the 20 plus years I spent in my previous district, I don't think we ever had more than 10.
Okay.
And that would include the military academies and ROTC programs as well. So I would say this is on par with what I'm familiar with. I'd be happy to research what New Hampshire averages are, and maybe what contributes to that. What I can say is that we are obligated by law to provide our military recruiters with the same access to our students as we do our institutions of higher education and career pathways. So We uphold that. We don't give them more or less than we do our college recruiters. And in my brief tenure here, I can say that that's what we've done. That's the avenue that we've taken. And I would be happy to look into, because that is interesting data to see where New Hampshire schools are with regards to recruitment. I do know we have some recruiters in the area who are always looking to recruit, so to try and delve in that. In the small sampling, anecdotally, with the recruiters that I've spoken with, a lot of the recruitment happens electronically with communication, social media connection, and not the traditional in-person. I've got a booth and I'm handing out, free pens and whatnot. So I think it has shifted, and in my experience, those who are pursuing the military, when the recruiters come, they've already got the connection made. They've made it outside. They've made it through social media. They've made a connection somewhere else, not specifically here. So, but that's all anecdotal, and I'd be happy to look more into that.
Yeah, no worries. For me, I felt that it was low, but I didn't know if there was something else. Was that hard enough, Brian? Was that a tough
No,
enough
that was
question?
fine. I think that the number has been fairly consistent.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I think I would agree with Tim that it's typically been less than 10. One thing that we started doing just in the recent last year or two was offering the ASVAB test to make it easier for young men and women who are interested in joining the military, to give them that opportunity to take the ASVAB assessment here. But we've always provided access. I think that if you have a conversation with high school kids and ask them if they're interested in the military, some of them are, and a lot of them are not. So,
Right. Yeah. I love it as an idea for a viable option. Trades, college, 2-year, 4-year, and the military. These teams are always surprising me.
for people who you can get the GI Bill and you can get
money,
college and
yes.
career money. So.
Yeah, and I was remiss in mentioning the ASVAB assessment. We did just administer, and I think the results are coming out Friday.
Was this the first time, or did we do it last year? Or the first?
It's been done in the past.
Has it? But it's only been a couple of years. I couldn't remember how long it's been. So this might have been the second time that we did the ASVAB, because we didn't.
I know it's not the first.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's been going
it's
on.
not
No,
required,
I think
but
it's
we
number
can
2.
opt
It's
into
not.
it.
It's not. And we did just administer, and it's voluntary. And our results come out Friday. I just saw an email today that we'll be presenting those to the students.
Do you, hate to put you on the spot, do you know how many kids took it?
I can certainly get that number.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Vanessa. Anyone else? Questions, comments?
I
Go ahead,
have a
Judy.
comment. With this test that we randomly get selected for every
The
year,
NAEP, National Assessment.
that we get no information back from, that leads into one more test for the kids to take, and test fatigue.
Yep.
Is there any way we can get out of it and say, look, our kids take like 92 tests. They're kind of sick of test taking. So it makes it hard when we're doing testing. And now in New Hampshire, where we have to put all of their scores on the ballot, could we get rid of one?
I would love
So
to
that
get rid of
maybe
one.
some of those test scores could go up?
Oh, boy.
And
You're
it would
provoking
be-
me, Ginny.
I know, I'm sorry. But, because these scores can be, they're hard to understand, if you don't really understand what's going on. And one more test that we get no information on is ridiculous. If they gave us some information back that was helpful for us to help our kids would be one thing, but just to waste everybody's time is crazy. And now where we have to have that information on, and it means whether, we get our budget for the next year or not, I don't know why we can't just say not doing it. Sorry, pick somebody else. Somebody else gets a turn. And the other thing, I had a couple other things that I just wanted to say over. I'm kind of, every year testing happens, and the results go up and down. Some of it's maturity, I think, and I think probably the teachers would go along with me. Some of the younger scores are maturity, but then as they move along, we can see our high schools, our older kids' scores go up. And then when we get to the high school and we look, I'm sorry, let me take this out and then I can speak without gulping. There we go. And then when we look at what Tim has just given us, it's like a cumulative effort. So, yeah, the kids may not do so well here, and they may get a little bit better here, and they may drop here, but it's a cumulative effort in when they get to high school and get all of these really good scores that we just saw. It's a learning process. And so to pull, little scores out here, little scores out here, and say these are all important to get our budget on, makes no sense to me whatsoever. It's the end result that all of the work that everybody's done over all of the years gives our kids an excellent education where they do well. So I think we have a lot of teaching to do over time.
I would agree.
And
we have a lot of teaching to do.
And
I would agree.
End of rattling on, especially because, it depends upon our budget. And just to look at third grade, second grade didn't do so well. But look at the end result. After, they mature, they learn how the computers work better, because that's a huge thing with our testing. They have to be really proficient, not in their computer at home, but the computer and the program that they're using here. So there's a lot of different things that challenge them along the way, but when they come out at the end with a good education, that's what really counts in those numbers that our voters are going to see.
Right. Well, thank you, Ginny.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. All right, anyone else? Questions, comments?
Just want to know, we had
Yeah,
40
go for it.
students
Yeah.
take the ASVAB.
40?
40.
Yeah, that's about what I would have guessed. I was thinking kind of around that number. But I think that'll be a number to watch. I think that as we continue to administer that, I would think that there might be more kids that continue to take it. And by the way, we want them to take it because this is one of the indicators of being college and career ready. So we want to encourage this.
I know my son took it back in the day.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys should go home.
Yes,
Yeah,
please
drive
go home.
safe. Yeah.
Be safe.
Thank
Be
you.
safe going home. All right, we ready to move on to our committee? We have our manifest first. Caroline?
I'll make a motion to approve the December 11th through December 29th, 2025 manifest in the full amount of $3,045,663.79.
Thank you. Do I have a second? By Jack? All right, go ahead.
So the first category is payroll, taxes, and benefits. Our total of this category was $2,221,906.65. Our payroll alone was $777,001. Our payroll taxes was $233,516, and then we paid health trust $720,939. Our next category is special education. This totaled $164,232.39. We paid Durham School Services for in-district and out-of-district transportation, a total of $90,500. We paid Lighthouse School for out-of-district services, $26,655. And we paid Seven Hills for out-of-district services at $12,601. The last category is second to last, is general expenses. This totaled $522,736.44. We paid for our assessment $204,608. We paid Goffstown Truck Center $170,311, and that was for regular ed transportation. And then we paid Dead River Company $29,218 for propane. The last category is food service. We paid Performance Food Service $29,674, and this total category was $29,673.73.
Thank you, Caroline. Any questions? We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Go ahead, Shane.
I have a question that's more procedural.
Yeah.
I just thought about it while Caroline's reading off all these numbers. Since we have all of our financial information posted publicly on our website, do we have to read through the manifest every time? I mean, we have to approve the manifest, but do we have to go through every single line of the manifest every time? Or most lines of the manifest? I'm just curious, because we've tried to be as transparent as possible, but I think sometimes the manifest takes a chunk of the meeting that could be.
It's definitely online, like you said, as well as a check register,
Right.
which would then was everything
Right.
that was paid.
And that's what I'm thinking of. We just did it last
And-
year, so it's really out there for everyone with every expense, you know?
Okay, well, I think she's highlighting some of the bigger ones.
No, I know.
So I think it's important to kind of highlight some, because that gives people a chance to kind of read through it and then ask questions about others as well, so we're not going too quick through it. But we can, one thing to do is kind of a dollar limit on what we want to highlight. So we're, sometimes, when I'm going over, I highlight things over 20,000, but if
Yeah.
it's smaller, when I highlight things maybe over 15,000, but, one thing we can do is maybe limit a little bit what we highlight too.
Yeah.
So it kind of have middle ground.
I'm just thinking of efficiencies here.
Dan is texting Brian right now.
I'm just saying.
Right.
Just that was a procedural question.
Thank you, Shane.
Thank
You probably will now.
Yeah, you probably will.
You probably will now.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. All right, moving on. So Scott, Doug, who would like to talk about
I
this?
think this is a Mr. Gross thing.
Sure. So what you have before you tonight, I provided you this handout. It involves solar net metering, and this is a topic that was approached by the town of Goffstown. Derek Horn and Danielle Basora contacted me about our interest in being a host for solar net metering projects in New Hampshire. Long story short, this would be a very simple way of bringing in extra revenue for the school district without really installing any type of solar panels or solar installs on any of our properties. As this graphic demonstrates, there is a law in New Hampshire which allows for solar projects and net metering, but it requires credits. And in order to get credits, projects look for hosts. Hosts are people that consume or use a certain amount of kilowatt hours every year. Typically, in order to be a host, you have to use about $500,000 worth of electricity in a given year. And between the town of Goffstown and the Goffstown School District, we meet that criteria. Essentially, the reason why I'm here tonight is that we are in the very early stages of having conversations with a company that has worked with the town of Goffstown on energy, and I didn't want to go further and have further conversations without the board's blessing on an endeavor like this. We don't really do anything here in terms of, we're not putting any solar panels, we're not putting any solar arrays on any of our properties. For all intents and purposes, this could be a project in the Lebanon, New Hampshire area where they are looking for a host to use offsetting credits for, and they would need a community, let's say the size of Goffstown, in which to capture that. So being that middle person or the host, we could generate $30,000 to $50,000 a year, anywhere from 10 to 20 years for doing nothing, just by being a consumer of a user of electricity. So to me, this seems like a pretty good idea to capture some additional revenue with little to no effort. There's nothing that we really do. And I can say that in my conversations with the town, they have been doing their due diligence with this particular company, but we're in the early stages. I don't want to be part of this unless you knew about it and that you're okay with it.
Scott, is the town big enough to do this without
They
us?
can't do it without us.
Yeah.
We represent 80% of the electricity that they need, and they're the other 20. So they can't do it without us, and we couldn't do it without them, quite frankly. So, again, it seems to me, I'm not going to be signing off on anything without you knowing anything further, but I want to explore this further. I think it could generate some revenue for us, very
Scott-
passive revenue.
Scott, do you know if the select board has approved this already?
They are approving the process, yes. So Derek and Danielle have the blessing of the Board of Selectmen to start these conversations with this company.
And it's only one vendor. We're not out looking for vendors. This is one vendor who's approached the town.
Right, and this is a vendor that the town of Goffstown has already vetted. So they've already done a request for proposal. They use this vendor for their energy purchasing, whether that be oil, propane, natural gas, et cetera. They use a vendor. We don't do that. We do that on our own, but they use it. They use a vendor. And this particular vendor approached them about a way that they can bring in some passive income. So again, very early stages.
General question, if you can answer it, Scott. How much less would we be paying per kilowatt hour if this
We
went
don't
through?
pay anything less.
So if we aren't paying less, then why would we want to do this?
Because we would capture $30,000 to $50,000 of revenue. We would get a check for $30,000 to $50,000 a year for essentially not doing anything. They're using our energy consumption as the host to get those credits from the utility. Without us, they can't get those credits. So they have to find, this company matches up large projects with communities that use this energy to comply with the statute, which requires an offsetting, energy use.
So let me ask the question a different way. How much do we pay in total electricity for the district per year if we're getting this much back? Or projected to get this much back?
So I don't have, I'm going to give you what I think that rough number is. I think it's around $400,000 a year. And if we were to get a check back because being a host, then our net might be $350 versus $400. It's a revenue stream, that's it.
The reason why I ask this question is with some of these projects that go in, all of a sudden our electricity rates go up.
This is not tied to electricity rates.
Well,
So we're already locked in for
Yes.
electricity for
Yeah,
about
this
the
is-
next 3 years.
Yeah.
It is a very different thing. My past district did this, and they had it set up before I got there. When I first heard about it, I'm like, we're just getting money for doing nothing,
Yeah.
but it really is for being the host. So we're not using necessarily the electricity that's made by the solar farm or hydro dam type of thing. We're just attached to it.
So
So I think the biggest thing that is part of this is you have to sign a multiple year agreement.
Right.
But that multiple year agreement isn't your price per kilowatt hours, it's just that you're going to be a host for 10 to 15 years,
Yeah.
something about that?
And it's that percentage of the credit that you get. So in this example, it's a 10%, credit. This is maybe not a great example, but you know that we have casino gambling in the state of New Hampshire. So we'll use the Nash Casino in Nashua. Part of their way that they are allowed, part of their license is that they have to give a certain percentage back to charity, right? So if so you probably have seen in the newspaper that whether it be the Lions Club of Nashua or the New Cyril's Elementary School gets a $200,000 check from the Nash Casino due to the profits they made in 1 month. Okay? You're just simply, to comply with the law, that's what the Nash Casino had to do. To comply with solar net metering, this is what those companies who are looking to build massive solar projects, they have to do the same thing. They have to find a host.
follow up one more
Yeah, go
time.
ahead, Jared.
So I have looked at some of this. I'm not as educated as other people in our community. But I do know that solar farms are a way to increase costs for per kilowatt hour utilities that are being done by the utility companies. So New Hampshire, we have the coal burning plants in Berlin or in other areas within the state to generate electricity. Of course, we have Seabrook. If you actually go on to your power company, you can select the source of energy you want. Do you want it from a renewable? Do you want it from a traditional? And they give you different prices for it. Things like this can increase the total operations costs for production. And that would be something that I would want to know before we kind of give the final okay on it. I think that this is something to explore, don't get me wrong, but I would want more information similar to that type of investigation, what happens with industry when we put in additional solar farms in place that actually increase the cost of our energy that we need within the ecosystem.
Thank you, Jim. Go ahead, Brian. And Retta had her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I share your skepticism. And when Doug and Scott came to me with this, how can that be? I mean, like, as I'm processing, do we have to buy the electricity from them? How is it that we just get this for being a host? It kind of seemed a little too good to be true, but I think it's worth exploring further. So that would be where I find myself. I think it's an innovative way, and I appreciate that the town is looking at it. They contacted Scott, and unfortunately, as we continue to struggle with paying for our public schools, we have to continue to look at all kinds of ways to have innovative ways to get revenue.
Go ahead, Retta.
It's a little bit on the same line. I'm trying to imagine what would happen, or what would be a scenario where we're kicking ourselves and saying, why did we sign on to this for 10, 15 years? Because it sounds like if they don't have the profits, then we get less money. Is there any liability for us in signing this whatsoever?
Not from the initial presentation that I heard and my conversations with Derek and Danielle. There is no liability on us. There is no tie-in to our existing, because we have a contract with Standard Power right now, which, by the way, is somewhat heavy on hydropower. And this does not, one does not deal with the other. So they're just totally separate. You are simply being a host so that someone can get credits. What the impact is to the overall state of New Hampshire cost of electricity, I'll ask the question. I certainly don't know that answer, whether or not it ultimately has a unintended consequence of driving it up, that I don't know.
Anyone else, questions, comments?
I
Go
would
ahead,
venture
Jack.
to guess, not knowing for sure, but just, right, it's the same thing like I said in the A&F. There was a time when hydroelectric public service was forced to buy any hydroelectric kilowatts purchased at a set rate that was set by the state. And so public service at that time started buying up small hydroelectric places because they could produce cheaper through coal or gas or burning biomass. So I think that it's something like that. So what Jared's saying is solar, wind power, hydroelectric gonna drive costs higher than natural gas burning plants, oil burning plants, or coal burning plants? Since our production rate, if you watch Mr. Global, is dying throughout the country, part of the Venezuela stuff, if you want to get into politics, our production is going to go down. Our gas rates are higher now than they were at the same time last year. So costs are probably going to go higher on those things. So being hooked in a solar project might not affect the state the way. That's just a baseline of how I look at it from a layman's perspective. I think that you're going to find that as fossil fuel costs go up higher and higher, which I think they are gonna, that hydro, solar, wind power is all gonna become cheaper in comparison to the other generation systems, right? It's all about a generation system. But still, all those questions need to be answered. Are you locked into that? Is it gonna have an effect someday on your rate? but that's gonna be a choice by the power companies, how they choose to generate, in my humble opinion.
So it sounds like the board is agreeing to at least get more information before making any
Yep.
final decision. Is that what
Yep.
I'm gathering from everyone?
Cautiously.
Yes, cautiously.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gross.
Scott.
Have a good night.
Drive safe. All right, Budget Committee. Jared?
Yes, we have a meeting tomorrow at 6 PM right here for other warrant articles that will be on the ballot. So I know that we have at least two that are going to be going. One is the CBA that we've already done. I know later on our agenda we'll be talking about the CRF. That will also be discussed as tomorrow. I know that the town has at least the DPW collective bargaining agreement that's coming up, and I didn't read the rest of it, but I think they have some other warrant articles that are also going to be there, like things in their capital reserve funds. Traditionally, with the town, unless it's a collective bargaining agreement or their overall budget, we tend to abstain from those. But, of course, if this board wants to vote for any of those ones that at least I know about, we can definitely do that. This is just a preliminary one. It doesn't really matter until the public hearing, which is on January 15th, a Thursday, 6 PM in the theater. That's when the formal votes will be taken at the conclusion of that for what will be appearing on the warrant articles from the Budget Committee.
All right, sounds good. All right, C&E, Ginny.
I think you heard our information tonight, and our next meeting will be January 12th at 7 PM at the SAU.
Great, thank you. P&C, Retta.
Yes, PNC met this evening. We had a very busy, lively, productive meeting. We're working on informational flyers, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and other resources that we're trying to put out for the public's information. So you should have two samples that we're working on, the Running for School Board and the subcommittee overview. The Running for School Board, we brought to this committee to the board last time. We've done some work on it. We actually have some more formatting work and font sizes and spacing and all of that. But we would like to get this out very soon. We'll be distributing it to the clerk's office where people who are running will go in and fill out the paperwork, as well as the library getting this out on the web. So I don't know if we actually need to vote on this or if you have any recommendations, but we would like to move this one forward sooner than later so we can put it out there.
Yeah, this is great.
And the intention is, this is just the first step. The intention is that people who are interested in running have this information before they put their name in the ring. So,
yeah.
I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah, you could do it by vote, or you could just do it by consensus. If the board feels that this is ready for prime time and you want to give the green light to post it.
What does everybody think? Everybody good with it?
I think it's great.
Yeah. Okay, thank you guys for working on this.
and the next step will be more of an orientation and communications that go out, now that you're elected, now what? So we'll be working on that one next, as well as more of an orientation and onboarding. So we'll get that to the board soon. In the meanwhile, the other document, this still needs a little more workshopping, but it's a subcommittee overview. And the intention is to have this for after the election, if there are any new members, and even for the board, that this can be shared so people know ahead of time what committees they might be interested in participating in. So there's more work that needs to be done on this, but expect to see this in fairly soon.
Well done.
Some of the other things that we worked on, we talked a little bit about the website and getting, making some improvements there. What's the other one? I think that's it. That's the big picture. Also, we just put this on our work schedule, thinking about April and May. We've got National Volunteer Week, Teachers Staff Appreciation. And then one other thing I wanted to share, I share this every time I can. The New Hampshire School Board Association is putting on a couple of webinars this week on January 7th. It's opportunities for members to voice their thoughts and legislative advocacy for this upcoming year. That's going to be on the 7th. And then this one is a little more germane, public school enrollment options, and that's going to be on January 8th from 6 to 7 p.m. So great opportunities it's free because we're members. And one other thing I did want to mention that our committee talked about is how the subcommittees report out, and we were just brainstorming and thinking about how this might be useful not only for the public, but all of the subcommittees to report out not only what you worked on, but what you're going to be working on at the next meeting, and give a little more information so people are aware of what's coming down the pipe. Other than that, did I miss anything?
You guys were very busy tonight.
Oh, our next meeting will be on the 16th due to the deliberative. It'll be after the second. It'll be after
On February 16th? Perfect. Thank you, guys. All right, policy review. Shane.
Thank you. Policy has not met since we last met, but we will be meeting next week, which is January 12th at 5:30 p.m. at the SAU.
Thank you. SAU Joint Area. Jack? You're the chair of the
Yep,
joint area,
yep.
right?
Yeah, we met and discussed the MOU at the last meeting to talk about a board suggested transfer of students if there was space and we had overrun. And we sent it out to the boards to be discussed, which I think will come up on our agenda sometime coming here. In New Boston, we'll do the same, and then in a meeting in June, we would have a vote on it.
Perfect.
And that meeting's to be announced when we figure out when everyone can show up.
Thank you, Jack. All right, SAU board meeting. Jared?
Yes, the next meeting will be in April, but at our December meeting, we did have reduction in the SAU budget that was projected, which kind of, when you do the math, it comes to roughly $34,000 less for the district for Goffstown. So I'll be making a motion at the public hearing to remove or to reduce our overall spending based on what the SAU did as part of their work.
Perfect. All right. And superintendent?
Thank you. Just a few quick things for the board. I wanted to let you know that student registrations are going to open in late January or early February for the next school year, and we're going to do Goffstown K-12, but New Boston we're going to do slightly differently. I think some of you have heard that New Boston is exploring full-day kindergarten with a warrant article this year, so we're doing our process slightly differently for New Boston kindergarten. We're doing a preliminary window to allow New Boston families to notify us of their intent if we had full-day kindergarten, so we're trying to wrap our heads around the enrollment. But for Goffstown, it will open in late January or early February for the next school year, and we'll start to do our projections. We had our SAU safety meeting on December 16th, and we will continue to meet as we always do. I wanted to let you know at your next meeting, I had been waiting, so we have a draft calendar for FY27 already done. I was waiting for Manchester, who can be notoriously late with their calendar, but they got it done, and she sent it to us at end of last week, I think it was, so we were able to cross-reference. For kids attending career and technical education, we have to make sure that there's alignment with the calendar. So we wanted to take one look at that, but we'll bring that to your next meeting. And my last piece, as Jack just stated, I will put the tuition MOU with New Boston on a future agenda for Goffstown and New Boston. Both boards seemed interested, and we did have a discussion at the SAU meeting in December as well. So we'll plan to move that forward. This is board to board. So this would be if New Boston was requesting to send students to Goffstown, or Goffstown was sending students to New Boston. It's not parents, it's not administrators, it's only board to board. So we do have, I think I shared in December, we have a draft that we have already worked up, that's already been reviewed by our attorney. So as we get a little closer to that meeting in June that Jack was talking about, we'll be ready to do this. And that was all I had. I hope everyone had a nice vacation. There's a lot of illness going around, and the only other comment I would make is, God, we're in a terrible weather pattern right now. So the weather has been really challenging. The buildings were cold this morning. Yeah, and just, you know, just the frequency of the weather patterns that we're in. The roads are terrible tonight. So, yeah, we'll keep going. Happy to answer any questions, either myself or Mr. Todd.
See none. All right, so moving on, old business. All right, so the first one, FY27 individual line reduction. So this is the healthcare reduction. Doug?
Yeah, I think Doug's got a handout he's going to share.
Yep. So at the December 9th Budget Committee meeting, they made a motion that passed to reduce the overall budget by $500,000. They were looking for us to target health insurance because as they looked at the budget to actuals, the actuals were always less. And that does kind of bear out for the most previous years, but also years kind of going back as well. So as we looked to make that $500,000 reduction, at the same time, we were thinking to ourselves, well, in future years, we might also reduce the budget before it even gets to the school board or the budget committee by 8%. So, you know, maybe we're going to reduce it, and this would be the health insurance by itself. Maybe we'd reduce it by 4%, maybe we'd reduce it by 5%, kind of looking at where we're at that year. So trying to eventually kind of have apples to apples, the decision was, well, let's reduce this by a consistent percentage as well. So if we take the $500,000 and we divide it by the total amount that's going to health insurance, that's roughly 6.64%. So every line that is a 211 account line, we reduced by 6.64%. And as you can see, that then sums up to that $500,000. So we do believe that the Budget Committee, you know, that we should meet their target, which is to just kind of look at the health insurance. And we wanted to do it in a way where in future years we can kind of compare apples to apples as well if we decide, again, to reduce it even before bringing it to the boards.
Any questions, comments for Doug? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the finalization of the warrant articles.
I think the only one we really need to finalize at this point is the deposit into the capital reserve fund. So we just need to make sure that we're all in consensus on that, because that's the number that the Budget Committee will be looking at tomorrow evening. So as Jared shared, that we'll need to tell them the number for tomorrow.
So again, we've been proposing $300,000. As we look at where we're at currently in the capital reserve fund, deducting what we know we're paying for known projects, as well as our hold for the turf field, then we are currently at $108,000. So if we bump that up by $300,000 and then deducted another $50,000 for the turf reserve hold type of thing, we'd be at $358,000. Looking at GHS doors of around $131,000, smoke detectors around $20,000, the firewall for the high school at $65,000, and the high school network switching of $60,000, that would bump us back down to $82,000. There are multiple other projects that, you know, definitely could be done, that including carpet at the middle school, which is from the 1990s, carpet here, which is 2001. We also have the furniture that we're on, that even though it's not a rocking chair, sometimes it might rock. So there drainage at multiple schools, pavement. There are multiple things that are needed at each of the schools. Our thinking though was that it had been bumped up to $300,000 last year. and let's be consistent for 1 year, and then maybe look to bump it up the next year as we're looking to make sure that what the town owns, that what their most expensive buildings that they own, we're maintaining as people would expect as well.
Yeah, I would just share, I think this is not the year to increase the number, so I would recommend 300,000, but I do agree with Doug. I think moving forward, we have millions of dollars of deferred maintenance that needs to be done. So we're going to need to get more aggressive with how we're going to pay for some of these things. So I think as we think about being a year from now, we maybe have a conversation about a larger number, but I think for this year, I would keep it consistent. We've got the teacher contract on the warrant. So that would be our recommendation.
So we're gonna need a motion for this. to bring it to the full budget.
Yep, so if someone was so inclined, you would make a motion to approve the amount for the capital reserve fund deposit for facilities for the FY27 budget for the warrant in March at $300,000.
Raised by taxation, and I'll make that motion.
Second.
So we have Jared and then Shane second. So that's changing the language.
Correct.
All right, any other?
So raised by taxation and not by,
Unreserved fund balance should be
Unreserved fund
given
balance.
back to the taxpayers, in my opinion.
Left pocket, right pocket, same pair of pants.
so that would be a change from this past ballot.
Yeah. Any further?
Let's get some conversations going.
Yeah. We do this every year. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Go ahead, Retta.
I may have said this last year, when you add the raise by taxation, even though it's the right pocket, left pocket, it invites more people to say no. I mean, it's all money, the reserve fund is, money that was raised, probably by taxation.
Right.
So it's just coming
Just the
down
way
the
it's presented.
I'll withdraw my second.
You're withdrawing your second?
Thank you.
All right, so I have a motion. Do I have a second on that motion then? All right, seeing none, so motion dies. So we do need a motion for the capital reserve fund to be,
I'll make a motion to approve the capital reserve fund at $300,000 to go in the warrant article. Yeah. Yes, yeah.
and to have the same language as last year.
From fund balance.
From fund balance. Okay. So I have a motion from Shane. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
By Jack. Any further discussion?
I'll be
Go ahead,
voting no
Jared.
on this,
I know.
unfortunately. This leads to bad accounting practices where we're overtaking tax money, underspending budgets, and we don't want to give it back to the taxpayers. We want to reinvest that, or what some people would say, reinvest it into other things. It should be an affirmative vote by our or by our legislative body. And for that reason, I have to vote no on this. And I'm sure we will lose additional votes in the budget committee because of it.
Thank you, Jared. Appreciate that. All right, so I have a motion, I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Abstaining. All right, so motion passed. We had one no.
So Heather, there's
Yes.
one more thing of warrant articles for consideration. I'm going to recommend this year that we put a warrant article that will go along with the teacher contract, that should the article be defeated, it would allow us to have the opportunity to sort of reconvene and have a special meeting. So that isn't something that we've ever done in Goffstown before. We did it in New Boston last year. I wasn't sure if the contract was going to pass in New Boston, and it did. But I had a conversation with Doug today and with Kate McGrath, our HR director as well. I think it's probably worth putting on. It's kind of a, you don't want to assume that the teacher contract is going to fail, but if it did fail, it would give you another bite at the apple. So that would be something that we have not done in Goffstown before, but I think is worth considering. There's no financial impact for that, so you don't need to do anything with the budget committee. It wouldn't be anything that they would vote on.
So can you explain that? So if the teacher's contract fails,
Yep.
we have another meeting, but don't the voters still have to vote on it?
So it's, Doug, did you happen to bring the language?
I can bring it up.
Can you pull that up? Let me read it. Let's have Doug read it to you, and then, so what it would allow is if the teacher contract were voted down, it would allow the opportunity to call a special meeting and to have like a short expedited negotiation so that you could try to salvage something.
So it is, shall the Goffstown School District, if Article Number 3, GEA Collective Bargaining Agreement, is defeated, authorize the governing body to call one special meeting at its option to address Article Number 3 cost items only. Majority vote required.
So basically, if the warrant article is defeated, it allows us the opportunity to call a special meeting. And you could essentially have a brief expedited renegotiation, and it would give you one more bite at the apple.
Go ahead,
Go
Jim.
to another vote of the town. Just add with a different number,
Yes.
And is there a time frame on when they can vote, the town votes? Because that's a big
Yeah,
process
it
to
would
set
be,
up.
it would be after the March election, so
Right.
it would be between March and the end of the school year that we would be looking to do that if we had to do it. And again, we've never done it in Goffstown before. We did it last year in New Boston because I was nervous about that contract. And I do think that there's something to considering this for all contracts. What I shared with Doug is, I think that this is a good kind of escape clause to always do anytime we have a contract. It just, so we had, back in 2009, 2008, 9, we had teachers that were frozen. And we had no teacher contract. We had 3 years. So the Goffstown voters approved a 5-year contract, and at the end of that 5-year contract, there were 3 years of failed negotiations that the board and the Teachers Association could not reach a tentative agreement. So it didn't even go to the voters. So they had a 5-year contract plus 3 failed years. By the time we got the first teacher contract passed, it had been 9 years since the Goffstown voters had voted on a teacher contract. That's a long time. So this is something that I think is worth considering. I apologize that I feel like I'm springing this on you a little bit, but this is something that we just have been talking about over the last 2 weeks, saying, do we take a shot at putting this on the off chance that the teacher contract was not supported?
And is this something you need us to decide tonight?
We don't have to decide tonight. We could decide at the second meeting in January. That's still within the time window. But I just wanted you to know that this is something that I think we should consider this year.
Go ahead, Jack.
There's some cost associated with that vote. And
Yeah, so why don't we
would have
do-
to eat that, we would have to.
Why don't we do this? If the board is conceptually open to this, let me come back in 2 weeks and have a little more identified of what we think the costs would be if we had to go that route. But just conceptually, if you're open to the idea, I'll come back and talk to you about it in 2 weeks.
Do we have an RSA that supports that language? We do?
Yep.
Yeah,
Is it listed on that, Doug?
It is not, which, no, it is
Okay.
not, but at pretty much every other district I've been at, they tend to follow up the teacher contract with this, partly to make sure if a teacher loses a year of steps, it's dramatic what it does to, like, especially if they're like year 5 or year 6 type of thing, it's dramatic what it does to their lifetime type of earnings in a way, because it then goes into pension as well. So that is tough to see for dedicated teachers. And I think another thing that's becoming even tougher is recruitment. You would have to hire a new teacher or a teacher coming from a different district at a step lower than they would get at other districts. And with how hard it is to find teachers right now, no teacher, I don't think, is going to work for a step lower. That's just probably a non-negotiable right now, because they can just drive another 10 minutes and not have to do that in a different district.
And if you get to a point that your teachers lose step, when we had that, they lost 3 years here. They lost 3 years, and it took us 2 contracts to get them whole. So 2 different rounds of contract negotiations to get those teachers whole after they missed those years. So this would just be a safety provision that would allow us to call a special meeting. Yes, there is a cost associated with that, and I'll come back with some more definitive numbers on that. But boy, if we don't have a teacher contract, our ability to recruit and retain staff is already a challenge. We know that there's a teacher shortage. We know that there's more vacancies than there are applicants. So I think that this is worth considering. So if you're open to it, I'll come back in 2 weeks with a little more information.
I think so, yeah. Go ahead, Jenny.
I think kind of too with the changes in the ballot this year, people are going to be kind of confused with what's going on. So I think they, in voting for the teacher's contract, may be like just overwhelmed. So I think a second chance of it, where they can just look at something and understand this and exactly what they're voting on, might just be a good idea.
So our next meeting is also where I'll be bringing the DRA pages that have to do with the default, the budget, as well as the warrants. So there won't be any surprises for anybody here, as well as anyone online, because we've been posting things, to our website, and it's been part of the discussions that have been played out in front of the cameras. But that's the actual, like the black and white documents that you sign, and as well as the budget committee signs the budget one as well. For the warrant articles, I'll just make 2 different copies. I'll make one with this warrant article, and I'll make one without it. So we'll be ready to go and have the time all set up.
Okay, awesome.
Perfect.
All
Thanks,
right,
Doug.
thank you. All right, so we're done with the
We're good.
warrant articles?
Good on B. Yep.
Okay, so Q&A policy, Shane.
All right. So we have a bevy of policies that are up for question and answer tonight. The first being DJBA, which is the purchase procedures via credit card.
So we're happy to answer any questions, and if not, you'll have another shot at this when they're up for adoption.
At the next meeting.
That's correct.
All right.
Okay.
Looks like,
The next one is DJBB, which is the procurement policy for federal funds. These are both recommended policies. And again, these will be up for adoption at our next meeting. All right, the next one would be DIH, which is fraud prevention and fiscal management, which is another recommended policy. All right. Next one is a required policy, which is EBCH, which is chemical hygiene plan. This is around the cleanup of chemicals within school buildings. It is the one that's really thick. And along with that is EBCHE, which is the
Exhibit.
Exhibit, yes. I was going to say, what do we call it? It was different, yeah. All right, the next one is IJL, which is library instructional material, which is a recommended policy. Along with that is IJLR, which is the regulation form, which is the actual form that one would fill out if they have a request for reconsideration of library materials.
For IJL, under material selection, does it make sense to add language that says something around age appropriateness? Such as meet the needs of individual students?
Can you just tell me what page you're on, Jared?
I'm sorry, page 1,
Okay.
under section 3, material section.
Okay, thank you.
Just reading it, it sounds great, but I don't know if we should be putting in, because we've had large conversations about this in past years. Just something to list, age appropriateness for the content for the grade system.
Where were you thinking on that, Jerry?
I was thinking under B maybe. Again, I'm not an English person. my dyslexia always kicks in, but meets the needs of individual students according to both the stated needs of the student and general understanding of the student's interest based on age appropriateness or something along those lines. Because we don't say it should be age appropriate. I want to make sure that, though they're interested in other things, elementary school should probably have elementary school material. Middle school should have middle school material.
What about in letter C? Provide a balanced, age-appropriate collection.
Sounds great to me. I just think it would be good to have that
Yeah,
language in.
yeah, sure.
I don't know how
I don't
everybody else
dispute
feels
that,
about it.
Yeah. But I think if we say provide a balanced, age-appropriate collection, or we could say a balanced collection based on the appropriateness per. Well, I'm getting a little.
First thing you said that.
Leave it where you were. You had it the first time.
I'm not going any further.
So which sentence were you thinking?
Letter C. Provide
Oh.
a balanced, age-appropriate collection.
Yeah.
So balanced, comma, age-appropriate.
Does that work?
Yeah, I think that's, just as long as we have that language in there, kind of articulating it, I think it better describes it.
Go ahead, Rena.
Yeah, and I just was trying to remember, the librarians were involved in this, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
and Mrs. Kohler. They worked
Yes.
on this for about a year.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so we'll make that edit on IJL.
Thanks, Jared. IKF is the high school graduation requirements. This is required by law, and I know the high school team, Mrs. McCann, came and presented to us, but I know she did a lot of work on this to kind of align the graduation requirements with what is coming up for the classes of 29, I believe it is, and making sure that our policy meets or aligns with those Ed 306 requirements. 2030.
Yeah.
2030.
Well, 29, yeah, right,
Yeah.
class of 2030.
Yeah. And then the last one is IKFG, which is also required by law. That's career exploration, readiness, pathways, and credentials. So that kind of goes along with what we talk a lot about with CTE and different career pathways and things like that. This is a policy that kind of codifies that. So these will be up for adoption at our next meeting. If there's anything that pops up in the meantime, you can jot it down, send an email. I can now access my email, thanks Denise. So yeah, if you have anything that pops in your minds between now and then, let us know and we can propose it before we adopt it.
Awesome. Thank you, Shane.
All right, thank you.
All right, moving on to new business, open enrollment warrant article discussion.
So I wanted to have a discussion with the board. So in New Hampshire, we have RSA 194D, which is open enrollment for schools. And there's been a lot of conversation about proposed legislation that would allow for students to choose to go to a different school district. And I wanted to let the board know what I'm hearing from other superintendents is a fair number of school districts are putting warrant articles before their communities this March or at traditional school district meeting to cap students leaving and students coming in. So I'm not suggesting that we should do this, but I think we should have a conversation and think about it. So for example, districts are making a decision where they're putting on 0 in, 0 out. No students can participate, either coming or going in the open enrollment program. Some are setting numbers based on a percentage, 1% of the population, a maximum of 10 students. I think what local school districts are trying to do is get a little bit of control over what we perceive is coming for next year, that we won't have then any control of this. So when we think about our schools being overcrowded at Maple Ave, we do have room at the high school, we do have room at the middle school. I think we could take additional kids in and probably bring down our operational costs. I think Goffstown is a beneficiary of open enrollment. We will have a lot of people from other communities that want to come here. Do we lose kids? Maybe some. But this would allow us to put a little control on it. So this is what districts are doing. So they're doing either capping the number or the percentage that can come in or go out, or put other restrictions. For example, I heard about a local high school that shall remain nameless that's talking about only accepting students into the International Baccalaureate program. So there could be very specific things that school districts consider, and I'm only bringing this to you because I didn't want, I don't know exactly how many districts are going to go forward with these, but there is a certain amount of logic that you control the narrative right now. By the way, I don't think that I think the school districts that do this, there will probably be part of the revised RSA that will not allow local school districts to do this. So even if you did this vote, I don't know if it's legal and I don't know if it will be binding. But I do know there are a lot of districts talking about it. So at this point, this is probably something that we could think a little more, have a little more conversation if this is something that you were interested in. I do have some proposed language that districts are looking at. It feels rushed to me. I don't like coming in the kind of 11th hour right before and putting something together. But I also didn't want to be in a situation where board members said to me, geez, Brian, why didn't you bring this up? Why didn't you talk about it? So I do think that there is concern around open enrollment, both students leaving and students coming in. And this would allow us to potentially control a little bit of that. So I just wanted to put this before you for your consideration.
Go ahead, Jenny.
I think it would be a wise idea because I think you have to do something so that you can plan on your programming. Because if you have so many kids going out, then how does that affect your programming for the kids that are here? And are you going to have to lose teachers and lose programs?
Yep.
So if you had caps on things and you knew pretty much that you were going to stay at a status quo, then you could keep, what you have in place. But if you had no clue and people came and went, what your kids had chosen for next year already might not be available for them next year because of what happened with kids coming and going that you didn't know about.
That could be true. And the other piece about open enrollment, again, the devil will be in the details, but the number that we've consistently heard is the sending town will pay 80%. Well, who makes up that delta? What about the extra 20%? So this is why districts are doing the zero in, zero out kind of approach, because they don't know what the implications of this. And by the way, the lawyers don't know. The lawyers also don't know what the implications will be for special education students. Special education student goes from one town to another through open enrollment. Is it 80% of that? Who makes all the decisions? So there is a lot. I also think that sometimes public education has a tendency to think that the sky is falling, and I don't think the sky is falling over this. And I think our community, both communities, I think Goffstown and New Boston, are potentially beneficiaries of this.
Go ahead, Rita.
I don't know if you answered this or not, but I'm trying to imagine how you could prevent somebody from leaving our school to go to another. Is it because we would have to pay the tuition and we say we're not paying the tuition? How do you prevent that?
Well, so this goes to the Pittsfield Supreme Court case that just happened this past fall, where it was decided that because their community had not taken any kind of a vote on open enrollment, RSA 194D, what the state Supreme Court found is they had to pay to send a kid to another community, even if they didn't want to. But the thinking is, if your local community, your legislative body, has a vote and they say no to open enrollment, then the thinking is you're not going to have kids go or kids come in. Because we don't know what the implications of this. Is it 10 kids? Is it 150 kids? I have no idea. How do we budget for that? I have no idea.
Go ahead, Jenny.
And how does that interact with the voucher program? Is the voucher program still in place and this is just another
Yes.
tool?
Yes,
Okay.
and in fact, the Education Freedom Account, I think that's what you're
Yeah.
calling a voucher program. So this year, for FY '26, there are 10,000 EFAs. And remember, they get a little more than what we get for adequacy. Next year, for FY '26, that goes up to 12,500. So there are going to be another 2,500 EFAs in the state of New Hampshire, and I would be remiss if I didn't say something about this. I don't have a problem with EFAs, but the state of New Hampshire needs to meet their constitutional obligation and fund an adequate education for all kids first, and then if you have extra money that you want to give so people can go to the private schools that they're already attending, fine. But pay for the cost of an education, a true adequate education first. And then you want to give money to families for whatever, fine. But, so yes, both exist.
So both exist?
Yep.
Okay.
Go
So
ahead.
we
Oh,
could
sorry,
do a
Jen.
thing on open enrollment, but kids could still decide to leave through the
EFA, yes.
EFA program?
Yep. That's
Greta?
correct.
I'm going to say it again, if any of you are interested in learning more, the New Hampshire School Board Association is doing a webinar this Thursday from 6.
And Barrett is really up to speed. Barrett attends our superintendent's meetings. He knows what the conversation, he has heard about what towns are thinking. He's got the perspective of the whole state. So Barrett is a wealth of resource for this. Barrett is the executive director of the School Boards Association.
Go ahead, Laura.
Just a quick question, are those recorded, Retta? If we,
They
so
are,
you can watch them
and,
afterwards?
and we can access the
Okay.
recording.
Okay, great.
You just have to email and ask them what the password is.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Jared.
Thank you. I'd say, Brian, let's shoot for the moon on it. I would say, if we're looking for suggestions or feedback, I would say cap open enrollment for people coming in at space needs that we have. That would probably be the limiter of it.
Yep.
I would also say, why not add financial pieces to it to say that if somebody's going to have a sending district coming into our school, it's expected that they pay the per cost pupil that we have that's decided on in the March timeframe or whatever it is that we're actually going to the warrant articles for. So if we put that clearly in the warrant article and people accept that to say, if you want to come into this district, you don't give us 80% of whatever you guys are going to send. You have to give us the full 15,000 or 17,000 or however much it's supposed to be for our cost per pupil, so that Goffstown residents are getting foot the bill for other towns that don't want to pay.
Yeah. I don't see
Jack,
how
did you
that
have
doesn't
your hand?
become part of the state law, but I do understand how it doesn't become, but because of, like, the numbers we saw, Sauhegan was, what, 25,000 or something, so if they send someone here, right, it'd be a big cost savings, and then we're making up 20% of someone who's getting a 30% discount, whatever the numbers are.
Yeah.
That seems crazy.
So I saw Retta and then Laura. Go ahead.
Another just statement, not a question. I mean, the sad thing about this is it's pitting public schools against public schools, which is unfortunate.
Go ahead, Laura.
Yeah, I totally agree, Retta. And I mean, if you look at the charts that we just saw, like, you're getting a very high quality education at a very low cost, at the average lowest cost per pupil in the state, and our kids are doing very well. And so I'm just nervous at the floodgates of saying, look at this discount on a fabulous education in Goffstown. And it could be really overwhelming for our schools.
Yeah. Go ahead, Vanessa.
So we're trying to get ahead of this, and I think that's what the other districts are doing, but don't you
Correct.
feel like the state is just gonna turn around and, like, we're trying to cherry pick right now what we're doing? Is all this gonna be for a waste in 1 year or 2 years when they come back with an updated law?
Probably, and probably sooner.
So,
So I think in all likelihood, if open enrollment does go forward, I would expect that they're already working on proposed language to not allow local communities to do the very thing we're talking about.
yeah. I mean, I also am of the mind that public schools are a thing of convenience for most parents. So I agree. I don't think it's gonna be a tidal wave either way. I think you'll get onesie, twosies, but I don't think for a town like Goffstown and New Boston, we're really going to be looking at a huge
Generally,
impact.
Massachusetts, who has had open enrollment for decades, they, speaking with superintendents down there, and actually, your superintendent was down in Massachusetts for a long time, Shane. You tended to see the wealthier families and the high-achieving kids, they were the only ones who left, because those are the families that had the ability to, there's no transportation associated with open enrollment.
They have means.
So you've got to drive your kids every day. Maybe you can get a little group, right, and, you know, maybe you take turns and carpool, but generally, I think it's going to be our wealthier, brighter kids that would be the ones that would leave. And who do we get? I don't know. I get a lot of calls from a couple of neighboring communities all the time about sending kids to Goffstown. So does that turn into, is it 50 kids, is it 100 kids, or is it 5 kids?
Yeah.
No idea.
Sure.
Go ahead, Shane.
Thank you. I'm just going to quickly share my kind of thought process on this. When I heard districts were first doing this, I was kind of like, what are they doing? Because I think it creates open enrollment in general creates a lot of questions and problems, like Brian said with special ed and things like that. And then when I kind of talked to people who were doing these things, I learned that it was more about having a say in how it happens rather than being told what's going to happen to you. I do think the state's going to add that stuff into their new bill or revised bill where we won't have any say. However, I do support this at this point because I think local control is important, and I think almost along the lines of what Jared was saying is we have to protect ourselves as much as we can and protect our taxpayers because you know, there is a potential that we could take a hit and we could lose staff and we could end up paying more. Like, so there's a lot of things that we need to try to get ahead of to protect ourselves, even though it might be something that a year down the road or 6 months down the road we have to realign things because of what's happening at the state level. But
At least we're prepared.
so that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
So language to come next board meeting, some
Yeah,
ideas?
if I'm to explore what Jared was talking about, that's gonna, that would require an attorney review. So we would need to work with Gordon on that. And I'll see if there's a way we can come up with some language. Because it's really the community of Goffstown saying that we will accept kids, but we want you to pay the whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is only fair.
Doesn't seem unreasonable.
I mean, you could almost even sneak in including special education
Yeah.
in that.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll kick it around. We'll explore it a little bit. But so I'll call it the Jared language. It might be a little more complicated, but I like where he's going with it. But as of right now, everything else is just capping the kids coming in or the kids going out, either a number or a percentage. That seems to be what all the districts that I'm hearing about is what they're doing, with, you know, an exception to, you know, thinking about a program specific like International Baccalaureate.
So we're all good?
Okay, great.
When is our next meeting?
Our next meeting is Tuesday, January 20th, because Monday is a holiday.
Which is also the snow day for budgets, public hearing.
Hopefully there's no snow.
There's no
Just
snow.
saying. Just saying.
Yes, okay.
So
All
we'll
right.
meet in the auditorium.
All right, so moving on, we have staffing.
On the
Not a lot
staffing,
here.
yeah, just 2 notifications for you. We have a teacher that will have a leave of absence and a substitute replacing them, so no action required of the board.
Awesome. All right, top 3 things.
Well, I've got number 1, the awards.
Awards.
And then I don't know, I'd like some input on some of the other things. It seems like there's a lot of things we're talking about in the future, or we're going to work on it. So, you know, what does the public want to hear about the most?
Oh, the achievement presentation.
Yeah.
I did have that one.
Yeah.
That's number 2?
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll be finalizing the warrant articles.
We are
Is-
finalizing them, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Continuing to work on the warrant articles. What about what Mr. Gross spoke about, that we're exploring the
Yeah,
host for,
It's something interesting and new.
it's different, yeah. Okay.
and I think it's innovative.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right, yeah, go ahead.
We don't have non-public tonight.
You're right. Any other business that may come before the meeting? All right, and like Brian said, we do not have non-public, and our next meeting is Tuesday, February 20th, or January 20th.
Can we, I think the meeting maker, I don't remember if it was Scott or who made it, but it's sitting on Tuesday, or sitting on Monday, the 19th as tentative, so it just needs to be moved over to Tuesday as
Tuesday.
actual?
Yes.
Okay, whoever owns that.
Okay, yeah, I think that's,
Was it Scott?
I think so.
I don't remember.
Okay. Yeah, so it's Tuesday, January 20th,
Okay, thank you.
because there's no school on the 19th. All right, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
By Vanessa, do I have a second? By Jack. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, guys, get home safe.
Yeah.